At 3:25 this morning, members of the Metropolitan Police Department South Precinct responded to an active shooter call at the Waffle House at 3571 Murfreesboro Pike. The investigation to this point tells us the following. At 3:19 a.m., Travis Ryan King arrived in the parking lot of the Waffle House in his pickup truck. Ryan King sat inside the pickup truck for 3.5 to 4 minutes just looking at people inside the restaurant. After about 4 minutes, Ryan King got out of his truck, armed with an AR-15 rifle, and started shooting. There were 2 persons standing outside the restaurant. They were the first ones who were hit, both fatally. Ryan King then entered the restaurant and began shooting. As he was shooting, a patron of the restaurant, James Shaw Jr., ran to the restroom area of the Waffle House, saw that the shooting had stopped, and saw an opportunity to intervene. Mr. Shaw wrestled the rifle away from Ryan King and tossed it into another part of the restaurant to end the gunfire, Mr. Shaw saving, obviously, many lives in his heroic action. Ryan King entered the restaurant and got out of the truck nude except for a green jacket. A block away from the Waffle House, or not even a block, he shed the green jacket and continued southbound on Murfreesboro Pike on foot. When we recovered that green jacket, there were 2 magazines containing AR-15 ammunition. He clearly came armed with a lot of firepower, intending to devastate the South Nashville area. The police department's hazardous devices unit, the bomb squad if you will, responded to the Waffle House to ensure that there were no explosives in Ryan King's truck. The police department didn't search the truck until we were sure that it was safe. Once the bomb squad cleared the truck, we learned from paperwork inside that Ryan King lived at a nearby apartment. The police department went to that apartment, the SWAT team. That apartment was cleared. We are presently concerned about evidence of 2 guns in that apartment that have not been located. There is a chance that Ryan King at this moment is at large with 2 other weapons. At present, we believe that after Ryan King left the Waffle House walking south on Murfreesboro Road, he went to his apartment, put on a pair of pants, and then went to a wood line behind the apartment. According to a witness, a shirtless man fitting Ryan King's description was seen in the wood line. A police helicopter and several police dogs attempted a track of Ryan King. The dogs were tracking along the TVA power line, the power grid, until the dogs lost the track. But we think he has fled that immediate area on foot. At this point, we do not know where he is. Ryan King is believed to have moved to Nashville in the fall of 2017. He worked in the crane or construction trade. We have learned from some sources that Ryan King was fired about 3 weeks ago from one employer and recently applied for and received a job from another employer. According to that employer, Ryan King worked on Monday of this week and did not return on Tuesday. They have not seen him since Monday. We have learned that Ryan King was arrested by the United States Secret Service for being in a restricted area near the White House in July of 2017. He was subsequently released. Ryan King was later interviewed by Tazewell County, Illinois authorities and the FBI. His Illinois firearms authorization was revoked, to our understanding, at the request of the FBI, and 4 weapons were seized by Tazewell County authorities. Among the weapons seized by those authorities was the AR-15 rifle used at the Waffle House today. The police department has received information that the guns were returned by Tazewell County authorities to Ryan King's father, who has now acknowledged giving them back to his son. As I said a moment ago, presently 2 of the 4 guns that were given back to his son are unaccounted for. We have the AR-15 rifle recovered from the Waffle House this morning. There was also another rifle recovered by the SWAT team at his apartment early this afternoon. Ryan King's whereabouts are presently unknown. Searches are on by law enforcement throughout the area, including our federal partners. Anyone seeing Ryan King or knowing his whereabouts, please call the Nashville Police Department at 615-862-8600, your local law enforcement agency, or if outside the immediate Middle Tennessee area, your local FBI office. At this time, I would like to introduce Nashville Mayor David Briley.
Thank you, Don. This morning, our city woke up to tragic news. The fragility of life was brought home to us all by the death of 4 innocent Nashvillians. On behalf of the city of Nashville, I want to say that our heart goes out to all the victims and their families, and I ask that Nashville continue to pray and rally around them all. Thanks go out to our first responders who have been working diligently since early this morning. I know that the Metro Police Department continues to work diligently to find this shooter and to apprehend him. Also this morning I met and visited with Nashville's newest hero, James Shaw, Jr. Thrown into crisis, he acted with courage. He told me he saw an opportunity and he took it. He saved lives. That is certain, and we are all thankful to him for his bravery. Tragedies like today shouldn't happen. It's been only 7 months since we had another mass shooting here in Nashville, and that is far too frequent. We need comprehensive gun reform to address mass shootings, domestic shootings, accidental shootings, and homicides. If we can all just come together for this and for the greater good, we can take these weapons of war off the streets of our country. I know that we all want to live in a safe environment that allows everyone to go to work or school and feel and be safe. We all want to live up to our greatest potential. And it's my responsibility as the mayor of Nashville to try and make that happen. Clearly, the victims of this shooting deserve our prayers and our thoughts, but they also deserve leaders who will step up and take action and do something to get these weapons off our streets. For a moment, let's be honest about what happened. Last night, innocent Nashvillians were terrorized by a man with an AR-15. Let's be honest. Some people see these weapons as having a purpose of terrorizing other people. It's happening too much. Enough is enough.
We asked James Shaw to visit with you today. Mr. Shaw, since the shooting, has been to church at Jefferson Street, and he agreed to speak with you. What James is going to do is just tell you from his perspective, from his eyes, what he saw and what he did. And then after James speaks, there'll be other speakers, and at the end, we'll save the end for questions. James, come on up.
How's it going, everybody? So last night, I went out with my best friend. We went to a club out in Antioch, the Antioch area. We left the club at about 2:30ish. We actually went to the Bell Road Waffle House first, but it was pretty packed in there, like 2 or 3 times what was in the Murfreesboro Road Waffle House. So we left there, got some gas, and then we went to the Murfreesboro Road Waffle House. Got there, I think, at about 3:17ish. When we got out our vehicles, we both saw the gold Silverado. I actually saw the silhouette of his face, but you can't really just, judge a person just off of that. So we proceeded in. We sat down at the high chairs, tabletops. I was sitting in like the first chair, and my friend was sitting in like the third chair. We had a seat, a chair in between us, and we distinctively remember the cook. The cook was actually washing dishes, and he was stacking the plates up, and he was stacking them pretty high up on the hood to where we were like, those are going to fall off. Well, at the same time he was doing that, another Waffle House employee was actually about to go on his break, and I heard him say, he said, I'm just going to go smoke a cigarette, I'll be right back. So when we first heard what I know now is the gunshot, we thought it was plates crashing, because we had pretty much made that up in our minds that it was, the plates were going to fall. Then the second one happened, then a third one happened. I think that's when the glass busted and broke through, and then I saw the Waffle House employees scatter. Then I looked back and I saw a person laying on the ground right at the entrance of the door. So then I jumped pretty much and slid from the tabletop to the entrance of the door. And I think he let off some shots through the glass, and then he proceeded to come in. And then when he proceeded to come in, I actually went behind this like a push door, swivel door, and he shot through that door, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure he grazed my arm. And it was at that time that I kind of made up my mind, because there's no way to lock that door, that if it was going to come down to it, he was going to have to work to kill me. So at the time that he was either reloading or the gun jammed or whatever happened is when I ran through the swivel door. I hit him with the swivel door, and then the gun was kind of jammed up and it was pushed down, so we were scuffling. And I managed to get him with one hand on the gun, and then I grabbed it from him and I threw it over the countertop. And then after that, I was trying to get out the door, and I think he was pretty much in the entranceway, so I just took him out with me, out of the entrance and all the way outside. And then I proceeded to run around, and he had like a walk, trot, pace type of jog that he was doing, trying to get away, and that's kind of what happened.
Now, Matt Espenshaid, the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI, who heads the Nashville office.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being out here. I concur that it's a sad day for Nashville, but we tend to come together during these, and unfortunately, we've had to do it a few times here. You know, I'm blessed to be in a profession that is tasked with protecting the people of our communities and our country. But I have to say today, James, thank you for taking that personal oath to protect your community and other people. You're earning a great deal of thanks by everyone in this room and everyone in our community. So thank you very much. I'd like to just say thank you also to the other law enforcement entities in this room, particularly the Metro Police Department. They are outstanding when it comes to cooperating with law enforcement on the local, federal, and state side to resolve these issues. And you have our oath that today all we are thinking about, all we're working towards is coming to a resolution in this, finding the shooter, putting him in custody, and moving on to the next phase of this investigation. I've come with a prepared statement from the FBI, and I'll read it to you, and then we'll be available for questions later. This was stated by Mr. Aaron before, and I'll state it again. In July of 2017, the FBI Springfield, Illinois field office received information regarding Travis Reinking from the U.S. Secret Service. In coordination with the Secret Service and state and local law enforcement, the FBI took investigative steps to include database reviews and interviews. Coordinated action was taken with the Illinois State Police to revoke Mr. Reinking's firearm owner's identification card and the Tazewell County Sheriff's Office to then remove firearms from his possession. After conducting all appropriate investigation, the FBI closed its assessment of Mr. Reinking in October of 2017. I feel confident that the FBI took the appropriate steps and did everything within our federal jurisdiction that we could at the time. So thank you for your time.
Now, Todd Hudson, the Special Agent in charge of the United States Secret Service, Nashville office.
Good afternoon. Todd Hudson, Special Agent in charge with the Secret Service, Nashville field office. Just like to echo the sentiments that have been stated already. Like my counterpart at the FBI, I have a prepared statement from Secret Service headquarters. Jeffrey Reinking has been identified by the Metro Nashville Police Department as the suspect in the shooting that occurred today in Antioch. Reinking became a record of the Secret Service following a July 7, 2017 arrest by the Secret Service Uniform Division. Officer Reinking was charged with unlawful entry after crossing an exterior security barrier near the White House complex. Information regarding the arrest was provided to our local law enforcement partners, including the FBI, at the time of the arrest to ensure appropriate authorities were aware of the circumstances surrounding Reinking's arrest. The Secret Service Nashville field office and Secret Service headquarters divisions are working closely with all law enforcement personnel on this investigation. Thank you.
And now Marcus Watson, the Special Agent in charge of ATF for the Tennessee and Alabama jurisdiction.
Good afternoon. Sadly, this morning, my agents responded to assist our local partners in this investigation. Upon arrival, we were able to identify, with the assistance of our local partners, Nashville Police Department, the firearm used in question, an AR-15. We initiated an urgent trace for that weapon. We've identified when that weapon was illegally purchased in 2011 in Illinois. We provided that information to the investigation. We stand with our local and federal partners in this investigation. I've directed all of my resources available, including K9, our Crime Gun Intelligence Center, to support and offer all resources available to us, to our partners, to make sure that the suspect is found swiftly, and he has his day in court. Thank you.
And now Walt Amer, the President and CEO of Waffle House.
Good afternoon. I'm here to express our condolences to the victims and their families. It is a very sad day indeed for our Waffle House family of associates and customers who are impacted by this tragedy today. All of our attention right now is focused on the victims and their families and our associates who were working that night and others who are affected and knew the people who were working that night. And we're here to support them in any way we possibly can. I personally want to thank Mr. Shaw. You don't get to meet too many heroes in life, Mr. Shaw, but you are a hero. You're my hero. you save people's lives. And I talked to some of those people you saved today, and they will think of you for the rest of their days, as will I. And we are forever in your debt and grateful for the courage that you displayed taking care of your fellow man. And so I thank you. I also want to thank Mayor Briley, Chief Anderson, and the brave men and women of the Metro Police Department who are working tirelessly out there at that scene today and searching for this man. And we will do anything we can to help and support your efforts in that regard. Thank you.
Chief Anderson will now take your questions.
So let me say this is a collective effort. Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, Secret Service, FBI, ATF, and also our partners at the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security. The search continues for Mr. Ryan King, and that search will continue until he's apprehended. And so collectively, we'll take any questions that you might have.
Chief, at this point, based on the investigation, the FBI and other agencies are doing, do you all have any indication into a possible motive?
We do not. We do not. We suspect some mental issues, but at this time, there's no notes, no verbal exclamations, so we don't have a motive at this time.
Do you know if he said anything when he was inside the building or outside?
I've not got a report of him saying anything at all.
Does he have any sort of criminal past here locally?
He does not here locally. He does not.
I'm a little confused about the Secret Service stuff when he was later interviewed in Illinois. Was that related to that incident?
He was interviewed in Illinois in relation to his being on the premises of the White House, and I'll let the Secret Service address that. But he was interviewed by the FBI there in Illinois, and also the Sheriff's Department there in Illinois.
And did the father do anything wrong with bringing these guns to his son? Will he face any sort of charges?
You know, I don't know exactly what the law is in Illinois. It's my understanding that the guns were surrendered to him, and that's part of Illinois law because he could properly possess them. And so at some point, he returned them to the son. So I don't know of any penalty there, but that's Illinois law, and I'm not familiar with that.
Chief, what was your reaction when you found out that information?
Well, I think that, as the mayor pointed out, we have a crisis, and so you have people's rights to own weapons, but we've got to look closely at people with mental issues and identify those people and make sure that weapons do not, at least legally, fall into their hands. And certainly I think that when you look across the country at any incident similar to this, that there's usually some mental issues involved. And so that's what we've got to work on.
Was he on the radar in Nashville for any reason?
To my knowledge, no. He had not arrested here, and we were unaware. He had not done anything to make us aware of him being on our radar in any manner.
The other study had 2 weapons. I believe he has two of those weapons selected. What are those guns, and do you think he could possibly have more than 4?
Well, we know of 4 weapons, 4 distinct weapons that he had in his possession at one time. So 2 of those weapons are accounted for. 2 are not. Where they are, does he have them? Did he discard them in the past? We don't know. And then you have to take into account there could be other weapons in addition to those 4 that he's come in possession of that we do not know about. One is a long gun, a rifle, and one is a handgun.
Is it an assault style rifle?
The rifle is a long gun. It would be more of a hunting type rifle than an assault rifle.
I know authorities said that they were committed to returning the guns to him. Anything else to matter?
The family's in Illinois, and we have not talked with them, with our detectives, but authorities in Illinois have talked with the family.
Have police visited his residence at all here in Nashville?
To my knowledge, no, that we were not aware of him. He had not created any incident that brought him to our attention.
Chief, I have a question too.
Yes, sir.
Not a report, but I am a concerned father. That's my son right there. I would like to
Well, you know, I think in this day and age, when you have the internet at our disposal, there's always that possibility. So we'll work with you, take any precautions. But that's the danger of our society in this day and time. The internet, social media is a valuable tool that everybody uses, but on the other hand, it invades the privacy of most all of us.
A word about Mr. Shaw and the heroic action he took.
You know, I don't have words for that. It's beyond belief that he could charge that man and take that weapon from him. So I applaud him. It was a very brave thing to do, and as you heard, he saved lives. So I don't really have words to describe it. It's beyond anything that I could say.
How concerned are you that this man was able to slip through the cracks? He had been on the radar of the FBI. He had had previous encounters with police. How concerned are you about that?
Well, you know, it is somewhat concerning. You know, you balance the right of people to have their privacy, but on the other hand, there needs to be a coordinated effort, especially in terms of mental health issues, to ensure that weapons do not fall into their hands, at least lawfully.
And lawfully, these weapons were not in his hands lawfully.
They were not. They were not. And let me qualify that. They would not have been lawfully in his hands in Illinois. Now, possessing them in Tennessee, I don't know that he would have violated any Tennessee law.
Of the victims here, was he one who employed, was a patron? Can you tell us about the other two? They were employees?
Patrons, yes.
So one employee.
One employee.
Anything you would say about the people that were murdered there? Is there going to be any sort of tie or reason why they might have been targeted or anything like that?
No, we don't have anything that connects any of the victims except, you know, they're being in that location to have a meal. And of course, the employer that was working there.
Can we get some clarity on that, whether it would have been illegal if he had these weapons in Illinois, but if he was within his right to have those weapons in Tennessee?
Well, again, I'm speaking about Illinois law, which I'm not familiar with. But apparently, the sheriff seized those guns. So apparently, he could not lawfully possess them in Illinois. Apparently, in Illinois, you have to have a license, so to speak, to possess guns. His was revoked. But under Illinois law, as it has been explained to me, those guns can be released to a family member or other person that does have that proper license. So that was done. And then somewhere between the time they were released and today, the son obtained possession of those weapons. I don't know of any law in Tennessee that he would have violated. Now, again, I have not researched that, but I'm not aware of anything that would have precluded him possessing those weapons.
So, do you know why the guns were seized in the first place? Was it as a result of what happened outside the White House, or did that have made him ineligible for guns?
My understanding is, as he was interviewed by the FBI and the Secret Service concerning the incident at the White House, authorities in Illinois revoked his license to possess guns. So that's the reason they were taking. That's my understanding.
So did Travis live in this apartment by himself, and then you all that had recovered 2 guns at least, concerned with the other 2 out there, but did you find anything, sort of threat or anything in your investigation so far that was apparent there at the apartment?
It appears that he lived alone. It's a 1-bedroom apartment, and we checked because I was concerned there could be a roommate, but it appears he lived alone. At the time I left the scene, the SWAT team had cleared the apartment. That was a lengthy process, using robots and so forth as a precaution, and making sure that there were no explosives or other matter. And then our investigators were going in to thoroughly search the apartment. So we may know more when we find out other details that we do not know now. At the time I left, only the SWAT team had been in there and secured everything.
What are you telling residents tonight about their safety? And how far could this man have gotten by now?
Well, he's on foot, so unless he's been picked up by a car, unless, you know, other means of transportation, he would be fairly close. And of course, it's raining. The last account we had, he's barefoot, no shirt. But residents, we're telling everybody to be very cautious. We don't want to alarm people, but certainly everybody should take precaution. And at this time, we're going to do a house-to-house, just a welfare check on everyone, because it could be that he's in an unoccupied house. It could be that he's in an occupied house. It could be that he's, hiding in the woods. We just don't know. Our SWAT team and others are doing a perimeter search and a grid search of that area. It's apartment complexes, private residence, and large areas wooded. So it's going to be a lengthy process. But we want everybody to be concerned. Neighbors should check on each other.
How fearful are you that he could murder again?
Well, I think he's murdered 4 times with no apparent reason and no apparent motive. So we're very concerned.
What do you say to the civilians? This is the second mass shooting in the Antioch area in a short period of time. What do you say to them?
Well, it's a second shooting in Nashville. I wouldn't say that there's any connection to the locality, but I think across the nation we're seeing it more and more. So whether this is a turn in our society, whatever's happening is certainly not the country that we're built on. So it is very concerning that persons take their mental issues and exhibit them in this manner, and that maybe we as a society aren't stepping in, maybe not striking that proper balance between people's right to be free and private and people's need to be some way accounted for with mental illness.
Chief, to clarify, are your officers just going door to door in the apartment complex or other homes in the area?
We're making an effort, all homes in that community.
Both to ensure that residents are okay and to see if he is hiding?
Both, yes. We want to make sure the residents are okay. Alert anybody that has not already been alerted by the media. We want everybody to be aware. We want neighbors checking on each other and finding out if anybody has seen anything. I'm sorry. I have no reason. We don't know of any associate that's involved in this. So he's shirtless, he's barefoot. So outside of getting some other transportation some way, which seems unlikely, we think he's probably there. We're not ruling out that he could go out of the area, but there's not a viable means that we're aware of that could have happened. Yes, ma'am.
When you talk about going door to door in the community, are you talking about the apartment complex?
The apartment complex and all the residents in that community.
And you guys, I'm assuming, will not stop. You talk about your efforts will continue.
Our efforts will continue until he's apprehended. We want to make sure the community is safe. So yes, whatever time it takes, our people will be in place. And let me say that Commissioner Perkey contacted me earlier today and gave us all the resources that we need from the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, the FBI, the ATF, and the Secret Service have done the same. So we'll be in this together until we reach a peaceful end.
Can you clarify the total number of injured? We know that there are 4 dead and 2 others who were struck by gunfire. I know we got a number earlier that 8 were transported to the hospital. Can you clarify how many others were injured?
We have 4 deceased gunshot wounds. We have 2 gunshot wounds, critical but stable, hospitalized, and we have 2 that were treated. We think other injuries, glass flying as the window was shot out.
So the number 8 who were transported to the hospital, that includes someone who was deceased as well?
Some of,
Not the one who died?
one of the deceased at the hospital expired at the hospital, and then 2 others are there, hospitalized, critical, stable.
So it's still 4 dead, 4 wounded?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand why he was released by the Secret Service in the first place?
Well, I do not, but I would assume that there was no actual violation of law, that they took him into custody as a precaution based on his activities near or about the White House, but there was no actual violation of law to charge him with. That's my assumption.
Anything else? For anyone, anything else?
So the secret, yes, I guess, so how far away was he from the White House? And I guess he, based on Chief Anderson's last answer, he wasn't armed at the time?
Well, let me
near the White House grounds. He was up near the White House grounds, so he was arrested for unlawful entry. He was near some bike racks. He crossed a barrier for us, a protective zone. Once he entered that, they asked him to leave, and he wouldn't. At that point, they arrested him.
And was he armed at that time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you have any indication of what he was trying to do at the time?
He wanted to set up a meeting with the president.
You know he was armed at all?
Not that I know of.
Was he refusing to leave because he couldn't get that meeting?
That I can't speak to.
There was no charge.
He was charged with unlawful entry.
Did he climb over a barrier, did you say?
I don't know that he climbed over it. There were bike racks, and he went through the bike rack. So he crossed that barrier. Once he crossed that, that would have been one of our protective zones. And at that point, they asked him to leave. He didn't comply, so they arrested him.
So then it was on the White House grounds?
It was near the White House complex. So, I mean, that encompasses a wide area, so I don't want you to think that he was actually on the grounds per se, but he was near the White House complex, which is a rather large area of land.
Anything else? Did James ask one question?
You okay? Yeah. Come on up, man.
Just really great to hear your story. I'd like to know a little bit more about you. You're from the Nashville area. Tell us a little bit about how your world has kind of flipped in the past 12 hours or whatever it is at this point.
I'm from Nashville, my whole life, born and raised here. Went to high school, college here. I work here right now, work for AT&T. 29 years old. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and I think I'm a pretty cool guy to be around. You know?
Do you have any sort of training in anything like this before? Did you know you had this in you?
Yeah, I knew I had it in me, but I haven't had any specific combat training. It's just, you know, I had to fight my daughter every night so I can put her to bed. But I just knew it was me or him or that type of scenario. So I chose to go with what I wanted to go with, and it worked.
Did you think about your daughter in that moment?
I didn't think about my daughter. On my Instagram and Facebook, everybody's calling me a hero, but I want people to know that I did that completely out of a selfish act. I was completely doing it just to save myself. Now, me doing that, I did save other people, but I don't want people to think that I was the Terminator or Superman or anybody like that. It was just, I figured if I was going to die, he was going to have to work for it. So I rushed him, and it actually worked out into my favor. So I actually didn't think about my daughter until I got in the ambulance, and one of the paramedics asked me about myself, and I told him I had a 4-year-old daughter, and that's when it really kind of hit home.
Yeah, talk about that. And now that it's kind of setting in a little bit more, you put your life at risk, and you got a little girl on.
So if I didn't put my life at risk, I'm probably not here. Like I didn't know that he had extra magazines in his coat pockets, but when I seen the barrel down, I mean, you can shoot at the ground all day. That's not going to really hurt anybody. So that was my opportunity, and I went for it. So it paid off.
You showed no fear in your actions. Your family's on here and supported you today, and obviously, as your family, they're worried about your safety moving forward. How do you feel knowing this guy's still out there?
It's uneasy, to say the least. But I don't feel like he's purposely after me now. might be mad that I got control of his weapon and threw it, and you know, I could see that, but I don't think he'll purposely come after me. But then again, I didn't think Waffle House would be getting shot up at 3:30 in the morning while I'm there or ever. But it's uneasy for sure. He was kind of cussing when we was wrestling around with the gun, and when I finally got the gun from him and threw him, and when we was outside, he was doing a bunch of cussing like I was in the wrong, trying to save my life. But that was it. It wasn't any kind of any talk in between, really. It was just I knew I had to get that away from him as soon as possible. So.
What did you see in his face?
So his face is like a blur. Like I said, when I hit him with the door, his head, it looked like his head, I think his head went down. And then after that, I think I'm taller than him. So I was just, like I said, I was wrestling with him, trying to get it. What I saw in his face when we was walked in, it was just like he was just staring at us, and he was like, I don't know if my friend saw it, but I saw him, and I was like, why is he staring at us? But I don't know what that look is. It was just like a look of blank, a look of, I'm not sure, like, this is lack of a better word, but meh, like, and I guess that's just how he felt at that time.
You made eye contact with him?
Yes.
Now that you know his history and this gun that was used and, you know, taken away before, how does that make you feel?
That's a little uneasing too, that he could, you know, just get it back from his father so simply. If his father did give it back, he could have just took it back. But you know, that's kind of beyond me to think about right now, because thinking about some other stuff, but yeah.
What happened to your friend? How did that go?
My friend's actually behind you all. He was actually in the bathroom, and I was in the hallway, and he's there. He's unscathed, and we're all good. So my knuckles busted up. I don't know if that came from glass or if that came from when we was fighting and punching. My pinky is pretty split up. When I grabbed the barrel of the weapon, it was hot from being discharged, I guess, so many times. But I really didn't care because it was life or death at that time. I didn't even feel it. And then when I grabbed it, I just threw it over there. Then when we tussled and moved outside, I actually, when I was going around the corner, running back up the street, I actually fell, and that's when I slipped and hit my knee. And then I also have a graze from a bullet on my upper elbow.
Did you go to the hospital?
I did,
So you got released this morning and went to church?
yes.
Obviously, then you're a religious person. Do you think that there was someone watching over you to give you this power? Or
I'm actually, if you would ask me, I'm actually not a greatly religious person. I do believe in a divine entity. I just don't know if his name is God or Jesus or Buddha or Allah or whatever it is. But I know that in a tenth of a second, something was with me to run through that door and get the gun from him. Because you could probably do that 10 times and you could only come out one time with the outcome I came out with. So somebody, something, some divine entity, something was looking over me. So
I just find it amazing that, you know, you saw more people murdered, you attacked this guy, and you went to church when you got out of the hospital.
well, just wanted to persevere. I don't want this to be like the focal point of my life. I know I'm going to be seen by a lot of people because all of the different media outlets and stuff, but I don't want this to be a major moment in my life, even though I know it's going to be. But I went to church to get past it, kind of, to try to start it off on the right foot. But it only happened 12 hours ago, if that, so.
I know this all this happened was probably a big whirlwind. I mean, what do you want to be known for? How are you planning to move forward with your life?
So I'm not a hero. I'm just a regular person, and I think anybody could have did what I did if they're just pushed in that kind of cage, and you have to either react or you're gonna fold. And I chose to react because I didn't see any other way of me, living. And that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to live. And I'll say it again, I didn't really fight that man to save everybody else. I know that might not be a popular thing, but I'm really honest. I'm gonna be honest to the core. I took the gun so I could get myself out. And then I went back for my friend after I was like, let me see, is he still alive? Because it was just so fast. Like, I don't think, I hope nobody ever has to be in those shoes again, but it was almost like light switch type fast. Like you hit a light switch and the light's on so fast and you have to think. And so that was my thought in that moment.
Thank you, James.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So I'm going to disagree with James just a little. Some people get labeled a hero because of the circumstances that they get caught up in. But a real definition of a hero is someone that knows the danger that they're facing and yet takes that action. And certainly James did. So thank you.
Thank you all.
Initially, you guys had said that there were 8, obviously there were 4, and 2 who suffered the gunshot wounds that are still in the hospital we have. I'm assuming James is one of the other people who's injured, that leaves us with 1 more.
We'll go over that with you in just a second.
Okay.
Offline.
Thank you.